few days ago, a new Lightfall trailer came out which shows off the new Neomuna destination we'll be getting with the release of Lightfall. I've run through the trailer and I've noted down sections of the video which I think are quite interesting and I have some points to talk about. I'm not going to play the actual trailer just start to end, I'm just going to go through and pause it at different places, so I'll have the link to the actual trailer in the description. So to start off with, Ghost just talks for a few seconds. And we see an introduction to the location.
We always thought we were the...
This is an interesting shot for a few reasons. First off, this is the city. So it looks way more advanced than the last city does, but there's some resemblances. Some areas look very similar to the sort of Red War going through the city sections of the campaign. But the interesting thing about this shot is you can see some pyramids over here, the wee small pyramid ships. I wasn't sure if there actually would be proper pyramid ships, considering Calus isn't the pyramid ship. It's some weird ship that he has. In the sky here, we see these like wisps or weird lines. I'm not sure if that's just like an artistic choice or if that's meant to tie into the throne world in some way, because I think these lines are in the throne world as well, because everything's throne world. Obviously there's also the explosions, so it's very much under siege, but we kind of knew that already, so yeah.
Last one's left.
Then we get the intro bungee. This shot here, I need to go back. This shot here looks very much like Titan. Titan isn't in the game anymore, so in case you have never actually played the game with Titan in it, which is very understandable because I mean it got taken out 2-3 years ago now. This looks essentially how I would imagine Titan would have looked if it wasn't run down and just destroyed. The Arcology section especially looked very similar to this sort of aesthetic. This looks essentially like a non-abandoned Titan, which is quite interesting. You also see the side of Calus' ship there, the wee small pyramid ships, and you know, you see roads and streets and stuff. Also Vex. I didn't actually know Vex were going to be in this expansion, so that's quite interesting that they're on Neomuna as well. Wonder what their reasoning is. In this shot here, you see a Cabal dropship, but it's black because the darkness side of the Cabal, really. And then we see some threshers, exact same thing. They're black as well, so just quite interesting. It's very much gives off the Under Siege vibes, I would say. Then,
welcome to Neptune, Nightmare.
So in this shot we see a Cloud Strider, and right here, you know, the guy doesn't look that massive, does he? You mean you've got your Guardian standing there, and he's almost the exact height of your Guardian, even though he's sitting down. Like his body section is almost bigger. But then in the next shot, you'll see.
I hope we can find common ground.
Bit of a closer shot there, and then he's massive. I believe these 4 characters are literally standing side by side, and he is almost an entire body taller than a normal Guardian, which is just insane, really. So these guys are massive. Also, Calus' flagship. We'll get into that later on in the video.
Or at least common enemies.
We then see what I honestly think resembles the Arcology a bit. Well, I'm sure that's not what it is in the slightest, because once we actually get to play the game, I'm sure it's not going to look anywhere close to the Arcology. But from this shot here, the Titan, you know, resemblances from earlier on, this very much looks like the Arcology, which I think is pretty cool. The Arcology was in Titan, sorry. This is also the shot I was talking about where it looked like the Red War campaign missions in the last city. This, you could literally copy and paste this building into the last city, and I would say it doesn't look out of place. So that's kind of what I mean. But anyway, I guess that's to be expected. It's a city in Destiny, so. Then these drop pods have a Red Legion symbol. That doesn't have any significance, I imagine. I think that's just them reusing the drop pod asset, not changing the symbol. But it makes literally no sense for Calus' Cabal to be using Red Legion drop pods, I imagine, because these Cabal aren't even related to the Red Legion at all. I think they're all clones, but anyway, I don't know. Then this here is just a shot of a wasteland, but not only is it just a wasteland of Neomuna, it's also a wasteland of pyramid shapes and buildings and stuff. I mean, this section here is tilted, and it's been obviously destroyed in some capacity. There's sections buried here. I'm assuming this is us running up to some sort of darkness building. But you can see not only, which is quite rare, I don't think we've seen this before like yet in Destiny, the darkness structures are actually being wrecked, not only the normal structures. I think that's quite interesting.
Calus is ready to annihilate this city.
Here we have the wee fish. I think they do have a name, but anyway, we've got the wee flying fish that Elsie, the Exo Stranger, has in the Beyond Light trailer, which is, I think, the first time we've actually seen them in-game, because I don't think we ever saw her wee fish pal in-game. So that's quite interesting. I think that was confirmed we would get more information on them ages ago, but anyway, so that's that.
Stand with me to defend
You can see a warlock guy just meditating here. I'm not sure what the
Neomuna
significance
and
of that
its
is.
people.
You see some different locations here. This shot intrigued me because these darkness splinters are in Europa, obviously, but there's wee darknessy ball-looking things, and I believe they exist in other public events and on the Leviathan as well, and you shoot them to progress stuff. So I'm wondering if this is a public event. It might be different from the ones in Europa, because the one in Europa has the Fallen, and it's wee drones that fly around the splinters instead of it being these darkness crystal-looking things. So I imagine that's potentially a public event. And then in this shot here, we see a Vex-ified section. So I really don't know what the Vex are up to in this expansion, but they're up to something. And this reminds me of the Endless Night in the last city with the whole Vexified situation. So I wonder if the Vex are trying to convert part of the city or something like that. This here then reminds me very, 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 very heavily of the Arcology. This is essentially an internal shot of the Arcology. I also can't help but notice this looks like one of the wee small Roomba automatic vacuum cleaners that were in the Arcology, but on the roof instead. But over here, it's also quite interesting. We see gold people. It looks like. I wouldn't have been able to guess what these people are, but I read somewhere that somebody's theory is that they are the citizens of Neomuna, and they've just been phased out of reality, and this is sort of like their remains at the moment. Is that they're like ghosts, essentially, which very well could be the case, and I honestly could buy into that idea. You also see another wee fish pal over here. But yes, this could be taken straight out of the Arcology, and I wouldn't question it. Then you have more fish back there, sorry, in that other shot. There's another fish guy up here, and we've got some Vex, but that's no use. And then Cloud Strider guy just absolutely obliterates the Vex, which is no surprise. Calus. Calus has decorated his darkness ship the way Calus decorated the Leviathan. And it makes me ask the question of, is this actually a darkness ship that he was given by the witness that he's Calusified, or if this is in some capacity the Leviathan just converted into darkness looking stuff? I'm probably going to say it's just a darkness ship which has been converted by Calus, because it doesn't look anything like the Leviathan from the outside. But you never know. I honestly don't know what they're going to do with the Leviathan after Lightfall comes out. Whether it's going to stay at the moon or if it's going to be used for other plot points, but I imagine this isn't the Leviathan. I just wanted to throw the idea out there, basically.
Oh, is that you?
Then we have Frozen Cabal, but this guy here is especially, and you can see in some of the other ones, this does not look like a normal Cabal. They've got the Crown of Sorrow helmet looking thing. Well, it's the same model I think that Galran used, or very, very similar, but there's mini versions present during Season of the Haunted, which are immune to damage and everything. So I'm wondering if these are clones in some capacity of those Cabal. I didn't expect them to make a return, but very, very possibly they are.
My tenacious little guardian.
And then this, I'm assuming, is the front of one of Calus's ships. But the interesting thing is, it's not just a Cabal ship. You can see, obviously, it's got the Cabal flooring and the Cabal technology there, but then this is very much darkness. So, and the center is also very much darkness. So I'm not really sure how that's working. It seems like he's almost infused Cabal and darkness tech into one. So that'll be interesting to see how that comes out. In those shots there, we also have Psions. I was under the impression all of Calus's Cabal were cloned, and that the Psions maybe weren't going to make an appearance because they aren't cloned, but I guess some Psions still follow Calus unless there's some lore that I'm missing out on there. But that's just, some shots of Psions. We then have another shot of an Arcology looking area, And this very much reminds me of the intro section of Savathun's song Strike. On Titan, there is a section where you go, in the strike you went left, and some sort of missions you went right. This reminds me of that quite heavily, but I imagine it doesn't have any relation, but it looks very, very similar to the Arcology, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm thinking there's a good chance that perhaps Titan and Neomuna are connected in some way, whether it just be the technology or I'm not really too sure, but it seems quite similar.
To be tonight.
We then have Strand. There was also War Beast in the last shop. There's Strand here. I don't know what's happening, but it looks really cool. And you see your Warlock guy just trying to talk to him or interact with him. And then we see a Tormentor. And Tormentors look scary. They look uncanny. This leg here looks like it's just pure liquid. This one just looks like it's prosthetic. The upper section looks like a weird combination of flesh and like roboticness. So I honestly don't know if these things are alive or if they're some sort of weird robot thing, but it looks hideous. Like it just looks uncanny. It's off-settling. It's off-putting. It's unsettling. This one's red. This is important because the next shot has one that's gold. Which makes me wonder, is it the same Tormentor? And Tormentors can just change abilities, maybe they can change their colour and it, relates to an attack they're about to do. Or are there different types of Tormentors? I think possibly there's different types of Tormentors. I'm not sure what the differences would be, but this one you see is sort of like a glowy light and looks gold, whereas the other one was red. So that'll be quite interesting to see how that turns out. We then have some form of attack, and you see this is the yellow light one, not the red one. I don't know what this attack is, but it kind of pulls the Guardian forward and then shoots him away, and he falls for a wee while. In this shot here, there's ice. So take that as you will, and then you're falling down some sort of shaft. Then this section is very, very similar to the Red Roar campaign in the last city, with the building, the wee sort of path on the side of the building, jumping up and stuff. I imagine they probably use some of the same assets, but it does look more futuristic. But you could plop these buildings into the last city and they wouldn't look out of place, as I said. And then we have the Vex Network. So the Vex are definitely going to have some big part to play here, and there's also Cabal in the Vex Network as well, which means they've somehow found some way to get into it. So it's quite interesting. And then the most important part is we have arcade machines, which makes sense because it's a city, so we're probably going inside all these different buildings and they've got all these different functions, and one of them must just be an arcade place. So quite interesting. Got some more beasts, and then we have a tank, which makes me just unreasonably happy. Then some Strand pictures, another gold Tormentor guy, Calus, and his ship. But as you can see, this ship does not look anything like the Leviathan. So I highly doubt it is the Leviathan, but it also looks nothing like any other Darkness ship we've seen. As far as we're aware, any other disciples that have existed of the Witness all have just normal pyramid ships, and Calus seems to be the one exception. Having said that, we've only ever met one disciple. So that's the only thing we have to go off of there. But that's the trailer. Some interesting things. I'm not sure what'll have any significance, but I think the Titan parallels will definitely have some sort of story, well, lore implications at least. I think it looks like a really fun, really cool location. I'm interested to see how the Vex are tied into the entire thing. And the Cloud Striders look massive. Tormentors also look creepy. All looks really cool. I'm really looking forward to the expansion. If there's anything I missed, please let me know in the comment section, and if I could improve my breakdown in any way, please let me know as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please consider leaving a like, maybe even subscribing, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.